This is a pod. A pod about dogs.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Healthy Dog Pod. Today we've got just me and Sophie in the... Oh wow, that's an intro. Fantastic, we're off. Okay.
Because we're on camera now, we can do funny things and you guys can see it if you watch the video.
Does that mean you're going to try to be funny?
I am funny.
Okay.
You know I'm more funny than you.
That's good, England. And we're off. What are we talking about today?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about dog play, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes.
So, dogs playing with each other and with us. Mm-hmm. What it is, what it isn't, how we interact with our dogs and the effects it can have and the way that we do it. So, and yeah, it sounds really obvious, but...
But it's not.
No,
hey.
Exactly. So one of the things we wanted to go into today was the detail of it, and it is really detailed. Because play between dogs is a conversation. It's a series of invites and backoffs, and asking for space and trying to, entice the other one back into the game. And then non-verbal communicators. And so that means that their body language during play is them expressing how they feel. And it's quite fascinating if you really watch it up close.
Yeah, and I think every dog plays differently. I'm going to bring the example of dachshunds.
Of course.
They're like bum players. They're like put their bum into the other dog. They do.
Bum players.
Bum players.
Fantastic. That is great.
As soon as it came out, I was like, just keep rolling with it.
She said it.
So they use their bum to knock the other dog out of the way, and they do little army rolls as well. They do play vows, but that's mostly how they play. They'll like shuffle the other dog out of the way with their bum. So every dog plays a bit differently.
Like a bull breed will typically got big strong chest. They're going to plow through.
Yeah.
Try and pin a lot. They try and wrestle. They find it rewarding to get the other one on the ground and fuck around with it a bit. And they like mouthing the sides of the face,
pulling that skin.
Yeah, all that excess skin.
Face skin.
Oh God, you are on fire.
Coffee's just kicked in.
Poodles are extremely light on their feet.
Yeah.
And very good at creating space and using that turn of pace and change of direction to their advantage. And they enjoy keeping others at bay, typically. I mean, they're all talking about breed stereotypes here. Of course, everybody's got that individual dog that is different.
Yeah.
You got herding dogs. They like herding more than playing.
Yeah.
That's what they defer to. And, to tie this into previous episodes where we've talked about what dogs are trying to achieve in their motive when they are behaving. They are trying to achieve positive outcomes for them. And so that means that they're going to play in a way that they enjoy.
That just reminded me of something. I was with my sister in Melbourne and we took her dog Kevin, GSP to the park, and I met a dog that I was so interested in, a ferro dog, ferro hound. And I went up to the guy and I was like, oh, is that a ferro hound? He's like, yes. How did you know? And I was like, I'm a dog trainer, but I've never seen one like in the real...
In the flesh.
Well, in the flesh. I was going to say in the flesh, but... And the way that dog played or wanted to play was so interesting. It would just run and get the dogs to chase it, and it turns so quickly, and no one could catch it.
Yeah.
It was incredible, and that's what it enjoyed and how it played with the other dogs.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to see.
That's it. And the common example of that might be a whippet.
Yeah.
Right. So, we see more whippets than fair hounds, but essentially they're the same strength, their speed. And they enjoy being chased.
Yeah.
Because because 9 times out of 10 they don't get caught. It's like when a poodle mix or a poodle finally gets caught, the amount of times I've seen a poodle squeal when another dog just tags it.
Yeah.
It's not it's panic. It literally didn't see it coming because it's so used to avoiding all the time. And it goes, oh my God, what the fuck happened there?
How did you get me?
Yeah.
I'm Usain Bolt.
You say more. But it's very much like a dog will play to its strengths, and that makes perfect sense. At the weekend, I was training a dog. This is where, when it comes to training, we're going to go into this more, but the dog was a barker to throw the ball, and I'm like, look, you don't want to reward pushy, shitty behaviour. It's a shit trait, and at the end of the day, you're frustrated. If you haven't got a problem with it, so be it, whatever.
But people think that that's normal,
well,
or it's like they're excited.
Yeah. Well, they are, and they aren't. It is normal because if that's what that dog does. It's normal in that context. It is excited. The dog is happy to be playing that way. But at the end of the day, there are two parties to every conversation minimum. Mm-hmm. And unless you're mental and talking to yourself.
Oh, shit.
But there's two voices, and one of them, polite play, in order for play to be polite, the conversation has to, what's the word? Like, both parties have to feel heard.
Yes.
And in this moment, in this training example, the human didn't feel heard. The human had no communication skills with his dog. The dog had plenty. The dog was constantly like, I want this. And out of love, the human was going, yes, sir, no problem. I'll go and get that for you right away, sir. And then complaining that the dog never did what it's asked. Play is a resource. The toy is a resource. Use the resources you have available to you to create the communication pattern that you would like. So what I was explaining to the owner was very simple. If you don't want the dog to be pushy, I'm not saying don't throw the ball. I'm saying ask it to do something before you give it the ball.
Yeah.
So sit.
Ask it to think.
Yeah, exactly. Engage the thinking side of the brain and enter a conversation with your dog. And it's common sense. I think a lot of people wouldn't even think twice about it with food. Oh, he's got to sit for his treat.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah.
But play, nobody thinks about it like that.
Because I don't think people know how to play with their dog.
No.
Like in an engaging way.
No. It's right. It's got to be a conversation between the two individuals that are there. And when you're interacting with your dog, when you're in your presence of your dog, you are training it whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But when you fully step in and engage with your dog in play, whether it be a toy, your hands, or just chase games or body language games, you've now entered a conversation in their language, body language, and it's really important to know how to bloody speak it. Otherwise, you're gonna create a stupid ass dog with stupid ass communication patterns. The play style you have with your dog will set it up for its play style and communication patterns with others, people, dogs, everything. So, for example, if you've got a dog at home that you only ever can throw the ball, and you're a catapult, you're just there, the dog drops it, you pick it up, love it, pick it up, love it, pick it up, love it. You could do that. That's where you're not involved, you're not communicating. What happens when that dog then goes to interact with another dog? Or in another scenario, maybe it just wants food, or maybe it just wants something. It's never learnt how to do anything in response for it. So you just got a brat.
Yeah.
You've created an absolute bloody monster. So its play style will be pushing into other dogs. That was just really good timing. So I knocked that, and we got an email at the same time. So the dog doesn't learn how to play politely.
Yeah. I think that's where, I think I've said this before, my sister's blue heeler.
Yeah.
How they would just throw the ball at the park, and it was just bowling over other dogs because it was just so focused on the ball. And then they didn't take the ball to the park, and she didn't know how to interact with other dogs.
Yeah.
She was like, "What? Oh, where's the ball?
Yeah.
What are we doing?"
Because it doesn't know how to engage others.
Yeah.
It doesn't know how to think.
And they weren't communicating with her. They
Yeah.
were just being that catapult, throwing.
Yeah. Let's go into dog play.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's a conversation right from the off. And so you got two dogs that have met each other and they want to, they're now having this, see how it goes. One of them offers to play bow, right? And it's a really socially appropriate behaviour in many ways. Like it's trying to achieve positive outcomes for itself. And in the past, it's learned play is rewarding. So first of all, what you got to do is recognise whether the dog is uncomfortable and trying to play to make itself comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that could be a problem if the other dog is actually saying fuck off.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the other dog's uncomfortable. That dog doesn't want to be played with. So don't let it play in that moment. Because
we see that a lot too.
Heaps.
We've got the social group class as well. We have a lot of dogs that play when they get uncomfortable, and that's really interesting.
Yeah, like as it's used as like a displacement behaviour.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I'm not sure. Play.
Yeah. and you can see them, they're trying to get it right. They really are trying to be nice dogs in the sense that they just want positive outcomes. As always, they're trying to avoid conflict.
Yeah.
And as an owner, if you watch that, right, the dog that is asking for space, the dog that's gone, man, I don't know you that well, I don't want to play right now. And the other one's going into the play bow. 9 times out of 10, because of our perception of like misperception of dog behaviour, the dog that is asking for space or being grumpy is called antisocial. And the dog that's trying to play is considered social. I don't agree. I think if that dog wants to play, walks away in that moment, both dogs are social.
Yeah.
Both dogs are behaving in a socially appropriate manner. It's not always appropriate to play. That's okay. If one dog is asking for space and the other dog is playing like relentlessly and trying to push its own agenda, then it's being antisocial, and it's not behaving in a socially appropriate manner. This is what I mean by it's conversation. One dog is just being pretty fucking normal and going, "What you doing, mate? I just wanted some space. I barely know you. Why are you in my grill?"
I think that's the main thing too we have to remember is that everyone thinks that dogs are going to be friends with every dog.
Magic best friend.
Not what?
Magic best friend.
Not all humans are friends with humans. Like you don't like everybody. And it's just this, in society today we think, oh yeah, every dog's going to get along with every dog and every dog's going to play and be best friends. But that's not the case. And I think I just want to say that's something that we need to remember as well. So if your dog doesn't play with a particular dog, don't get angry at a dog. Don't get frustrated. It's just saying, I'm not sure about that dog. I need some space. I want to go away.
Absolutely. Like if your dog is the dog that walks down the street and wants to say hello, hi. God, I'm so glad the camera wasn't on me then. Wants to go up to every dog and wants to play with every single dog. Your dog is not behaving in a socially appropriate manner.
It's not
He's
reading.
the guy on the street giving free hugs, not wearing a sign. He's just, nobody wants that guy. If you walk down the street and you see this sign saying free hugs, at least he's giving you a warning.
Yeah.
Your dog isn't even wearing a fucking sign.
Yeah. That's so true. I love that.
But as I'm walking down the street, I don't want to be hugged by everyone. I barely want to say hello to most people.
Yeah, you put your head down, hey.
Well, no,
you smile sometimes.
You know what I'm like? I'm the guy that's literally walking along going, hey, but...
Everyone's like, this one of neighbours gone.
Lunatic. But I'm not going to overimpose. I'm not going to...
No.
It's if there's eye contact, I'll be the first one to go, hey, have a nice day.
Yeah,
or something
or
weird.
Smile.
Like, I'll be the weird one there.
You're that dog, are you?
I am. I'm the one. Hey, just move on. But I won't do it. And if you don't engage me, if you've got your head down, you're walking past me, I'm not going to tap you on the shoulder and go,
Excuse me.
Hello. Hi.
Can we play?
Right. So bear that in mind. Like, when you're out on the streets, you're bumping into strangers and acquaintances for the most part. You might see a friend, but then even then, like, I've got my best mate. Right. You jumped to a big conclusion there, didn't you?
What are you trying to say? Anyway.
So I bump into my best friend.
Not so.
If I bump into him in the pub, I'm probably going to have a fucking great time. I'm going to go and play,
Yeah.
If I bump into him in the middle of a work day, or, if I'm busy, or if I'm just in the middle of doing my coal shopping, whatever, I ain't gonna start fucking messing around all that much. Might have a bit of a laugh, might have a bit of banter, but I ain't gonna. It's time appropriate, you know. Like,
Yeah.
it's situational, situationally appropriate.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, it's okay to not do that all the time. And that's what we've talked in the past. And go back and listen to the socializing episode. Like, a lot of that is very related to this. So, yeah.
That's like Harry the Cavalier. So at the start, they kind of let him like meet every dog and play with every dog. And he just got way too overstimulated, way too excited, even with people as well. So he'd see a person, he'd be like, oh my God. And then that person would be like, oh, look at you, so cute. And then he was like, oh, I got a reaction from that, and just kept doing it, kept doing it. So I actually had to, and we all had to start avoiding dogs for the moment because he couldn't cope.
Yeah.
He just was silly. He couldn't read the body language. He wasn't thinking. He wasn't in the right frame of mind. So I was like, it's not appropriate for him to interact. So we're going to avoid it. And people would try and cross the road and like come over, and then I'd like walk the other way, and they kind of thought I was so rude. The thing is, I was saying this in a consult on the weekend. I'm not a rude person, but when I'm not. Yeah. But when I'm walking dogs, I can be quite rude because I'm looking out for the dog, and I'm looking out for, you know, if it's appropriate for them to play or if it's the right time for them to meet another dog. And I think that's really important. So if you do see me on the street,
You're not being rude.
I'm
You
not-
might be perceived as being rude.
Yeah, sorry,
if they don't
you're right.
understand. But that's like, you know, somebody else's perception with very, very limited information of, you know, what's actually going on.
yeah, I'm trying to look after the dog's needs. So I will avoid people. I will avoid dogs until it's the right environment or the right time for them to play.
You know, Harry was a good example of
Oh,
what...
Harry.
Oh, Harry. He was a good example of what can happen if you only let your dog play.
Mm-hmm.
What he'd learnt was an association of high arousal to the point of hyper arousal.
Lizard brain.
Lizard brain. Whenever he was up in another personal space. That is the equivalent of, you know, every time I saw someone, I was just trying to tickle them. It's fucking intense. Right? You know, I did it. I'm on camera, great. And
Oh my God.
I'll get used to that one day. It's weird though, if you think about it like that. Like, and that's why we create a distance, increase the distance to normalize it, because dogs communicate through eye contact and body language. And when too close, Harry's brain would get overstimulated. He would no longer be thinking, he'd be acting reflexively and result to tickling the dog.
Yeah.
And yeah, I said it. And if we consistently, and what we did was consistently kept a distance so that Harry could remain in the thinking side of his brain, so that when he saw another dog, he could learn what the other dog was saying, learn and repeat socially appropriate behaviors. And once that became normalized and solidified as a behavior, we could start asking for the same response from Harry, gradually closer to the other dog.
Yeah, so that's when I'd pair him with suitable dogs, and he started to read body language and learn, you know, okay, you actually don't want to play with me. Like Jazz, 14-year-old Staffy.
Yeah.
She's just like, no. And then he was like, oh, okay, cool. And then he'd try again, and then he'd be like, okay, we're just walking.
And as a dog owner and dog trainer, what we were doing was socializing him.
Yeah.
Because we were creating socially appropriate behaviors. It's like when I had another job at the weekend where the dog was very nice, very social, wanted to go and say hello to everybody. And that.
What kind of dog?
It was a rescue Staffy Ridgeback cross thing. It was lovely. About a year old, bit hyper, just come out of the pound. And in the consult, I said to them, look, what we're going to practice today is walking past other dogs without him getting in their grill. Yeah, that's what they needed help with at the end of the day. That's what they were struggling with, and one of the main reasons I was there. But not only that, I wanted to make it clear to them that I didn't want them to stop taking him to the dog park. I didn't want them to want this training method to apply if they saw a friend, and like the dog friend, and the dog liked it, or a human that the dog liked. But they didn't need help with that dog interacting with others in that place, because it was very friendly, like in the sense that there was no malice there. It was just like a very nice dog when it was interacting. They needed help in that training session walking past. So I didn't put any emphasis on the bit they needed help in the session. I put emphasis on the bit they needed help with. But sometimes as a dog trainer, you walk out of it and go, "Oh, I hope that's not." That's what I say. I never want them to think in that moment that that's all I want from them. But as a dog trainer, there's no point in me stood there going, "Yeah, just let him say hello, and just let him say hello, and just let him say hello." We spent a couple of hours working on the opposite because that was what they were struggling with.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that's all I want from them.
Yeah.
So let's carry on with the whole dog interaction thing. So now we've got one dog's gestured play, and now the other dog's gestured, "I want to play too." Great, game on, right? Just because they both want to play in that moment, then you're now learning how the other dog plays. You might end up with a dog that likes pinning versus a dog that likes chasing. And very quickly, the dog that likes being chased. The dog that likes being chased was probably not very comfortable being pinned. And so will not enjoy that playmate, potentially. You've got the dog then that maybe likes pinning and doesn't want to chase and gets real frustrated. One of the things we see is, when a dog that likes pinning is chasing and starts barking because it can't catch.
Yeah, it's getting frustrated.
It's getting frustrated,
Yeah.
Another thing to look out for is like when two dogs are very good at pinning, not very used to being pinned. Like, they're both good at it.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a recipe for disaster there and it can look like that old school. They're trying to dominate one another. Like, they're not trying to influence each other's fucking emotions. They're just both not used to being pinned. So they both get higher and higher and end up in a wrestling match. And it's a bloody good one. It's like the old, really good old wrestling match. But the goal is to play the way they know and they're comfortable with.
Yeah. I think the other thing with play as well is people get scared to interrupt play as well. People are like, "Oh, just let it go and they'll work it out." Like, actually, you probably need to separate that. Give them a sec. Bring them back in. Is it still appropriate? Yes or no?
What body language, this sort of thing, what we can help with people with here, I reckon, is like just saying like what body language you'd be looking for if to step in and avoid play. Because, not avoid play, sorry, so step in and interrupt play.
Yeah.
If you see a dog consistently like turning his butt towards, like reversing his shoulders back and like fixing a bit of a stare on that dog, like, "Mate, I just want a bit of fucking space." That dog is asking for space.
Yeah.
If the dog is legging it.
Yeah. Or hiding too. That's a big one. Yeah.
Circling back round to the owner.
Yeah.
Seeking out comfort.
Mm-hmm.
It might be on its back, kicking the other dog off.
Yeah.
It might have its head low and just be, just trying to avoid. But what you're looking for basically is when one dog starts to diffuse the conversation, make sure the other one listens.
Yeah.
That's what we're asking for. And it doesn't necessarily have to be game over altogether, but
No.
use a whistle, name, clap to get through to the dog, lift both dogs' heads up, get them, what was that? Call them over, sit, settle, reset, reduce their arousal level. You're asking them in this moment if they can sit and settle and relax, and then once they can, go off and play again, because you're both now back in your thinking brain and more likely to be able to hear and listen to one another.
Yeah.
If they can't, that means that rule of thumb, if your dog can't hear you, your dog can't hear the other.
Yeah.
So use it as a gauge. Interrupt regularly. Come over here, sit, settle, thank you, pay.
Yeah. And then off.
And off you go again, mate.
Yeah.
If your dog can't hear that, then that's the problem. That's the problem. They're not in the frame of mind for listening and receiving information, which is an antisocial frame of mind in which so they're not probably playing.
I think in puppy school, when we focus on play towards the end of each session, it's really interesting over time to see the friendships and communication. Some of them develop and they're really lovely. And then some of them aren't appropriate to play with some other dogs, which is fine, which happens. But the one thing I see on the first session is you'll have two dogs and the owners will be like, "Play, come on, play." I'm like, "Okay, Don't force them. Just let them go. They'll be sniffing around. It's a new area, new environment. If they don't play tonight, then that's fine. But, when they do play, it's so beautiful to see when they back off and then they come back together. And then they back off. I'm like, everybody, look at this. This is amazing play. They're reading each other's body language and they're separating and then they're coming back. And they're like, okay, I had enough. Okay, coming back. It's so beautiful. I love it.
It's a conversation. It's like a little dance. Not that I can dance.
Give us a little jig.
No,
it's on me, isn't it?
Yep. You went that one.
It's all right.
But it is a back and forth. And, like in that puppy school, that's what, and we've said this before, but like when we're bringing a dog into puppy school, we ask them to sit next to their owner and pay attention to the owner, or just at least look around, use their eye contact and go, all right, the dog doesn't want me over in its space. That dog definitely does. You're probably going to be my best friend ever, but let's wait. And learning how to decompress and relax with one another and learning those subtle body language cues, making sure that by the time they go into that play conversation, they're not just hyper, and they are in a frame of mind where they can receive information. Yeah,
and you can always tell, I can always tell who's going to play nicely with each other. I have a pretty good gauge being like, okay, I can see you, you guys seem pretty good, but I'll test out everyone. And then sometimes some dogs just won't play with a particular dog. Because they'll be like, you two just cannot play together. You can't read each other. But you two are great together. Yeah. You two can keep playing.
One of my favourite...
Only 1-on-1. So only 2 at a time.
Yeah.
So I should say that.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Like one of the things that we really try to encourage is, especially when learning how to play in these puppy stages, remember, when learning how to play, what they're doing is learning how to converse. They're learning how to communicate in a socially appropriate manner, not just learning how to play.
Yeah.
Play forms communication patterns for when they're older. That's what we're going to remember, is it's not just fun and fucking games. It is forming their communication patterns. And one of the things, my favorite thing to see is when a big dog, in comparison to the dog it's engaging with, softens itself to make the other, to show the other that it is not a threat. And whether it just gently rolls, it slows its motion down, might just lay down and just offer just a little paw to play with so that the little one's more comfortable, holds enough distance to show that it's not a threat. Just, for me, that actually is just, it just makes me happy. That is the most social dog ever. Yeah. And that for me just makes me happy. I know. It's
no, it's good because people think, big dog and little dogs can't play. They can. Yeah. They can play. My sister's got a blue heeler and my parents have a dachshund.
Yeah.
And they play. And sometimes, she gets annoyed and she'll hold it down and be like, stop moving. And then he'll go away. He'll be like, okay, I'm done.
I put up a social media post about that exact thing. Yeah, this morning, but today of recording this morning.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
But that'll be a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like stopping the other dog.
Yeah.
And so I think Don was saying, that when a dog wants play to finish, we talked about those avoidance things and trying to finish the game, but if they're not heard, then they're going to be forced to really escalate their behaviour.
Yeah.
And they might piss bolt out there and run off, or they might try and really stop the other dog moving.
Yeah. And
that is the dog no longer playing and saying, you need to stop, mate. I'm not feeling heard. You just need to stop bloody moving.
Yeah.
And, Rosie, the cattle dog you're talking about, she's got a low, because of her, same cattle dog that you were saying, with the ball, she's got limited communication skills. So that means she can only cope with so much as well as...
100%. Yeah.
So when Trevor and that are like...
Winston.
when Winston...
They're all human names.
When they're playing with her, they might not know when to stop.
No,
for many reasons. Like one, they're Dachshunds, they're prone to getting overstimulated. Rosie, though, doesn't really know how to stop a game. doesn't really know how to do it. She's weird, right? When she's interacting, she's like,
Yeah.
bit of a lemon. And she's like, just that's enough. Boom, stop the game.
Yeah.
If dogs are very, very good at communicating, and this is the plan, remember, when we're trying to get them to play, we're trying to get them to build communication patterns, they can diffuse it so much easier and earlier, and also understand what that communication pattern means. And that's why it's so important to make sure that these games aren't hyper arousal,
Yeah.
because they can't process information.
Don't add anything to it.
No.
Don't add balls. Don't add toys. Just
Don't have a third party.
No, just let them. It's like we were speaking and someone else is trying to speak to us while we're talking.
Yeah, only one at a time, really.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah. Say like you're in a meeting, class meeting, or a classroom, or anything where there's more than two individuals. One at a time, please. How many times do we hear that? Like,
Hands up.
yeah, it's just manners,
Yeah.
right? Don't set your dogs up to fail by putting them in these mosh pit. And that.
Mosh. Wow, we're on a roll today.
Aren't we
guys?
just? So that brings us on to, our next thing, which is like how we engage with our dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of factors. One, most people, not most people, but a lot of people, I reckon this is probably news to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I reckon for me, it's common sense. I've been studying it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But hopefully, when you think about it, and hopefully the way we've explained it, it highlights how obvious it is when you actually think about it. And I said it at the start, when you're around your dog, you're communicating with them, and so your dog is learning communication patterns. So if you become that catapult that just throws the ball without ever asking them of it, you're going to create a monster of a dog. And if you've got a dog that is ball fixated or movement fixated, you're going to get that dog chase it over and over again, and to the point where it doesn't really know how to not chase the ball. And you've got to be really careful. You're creating compulsion, not play. That's not the thinking side of the brain active whatsoever.
I think that's massive.
Yeah.
When I tell people it's like OCD, like
Yeah.
they need to chase it.
I was listening to Dr. Julie Ashton, behaviour vet, a couple of years ago, and I actually don't know too much more about this, but we do need to be a little bit careful using the term OCD with dogs.
Okay.
Because we don't actually know if they become obsessive. But she was saying
compulsion.
Yeah, it was more compulsive. CD. That's what she said. CD. Compulsive.
She did say
that. Compulsive disorder rather than obsessive compulsive. It's technicality, but I suppose if we're going to be right, then we should be.
No,
accurate.
that's a good point, and I think I'd like to look more into that.
Yeah. Basically, what we're looking at when dogs are playing fetch, are they in a frame of mind where they're actually engaging with others, or are they just compulsively fetching that ball? And then, we're going to talk in the future about dog parks, but just to put the iceberg here, if you take that dog that isn't playing and is compulsive into a dog park, which is a social environment, you are not taking a social dog into a social setting.
But I think that's what people think.
Of course.
They're like, oh yeah, I'm going to take it to be social in the dog park and then throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
if you think about it, it's like that weird wired-on dog, like taking a kid to a party and giving it a fucking iPad.
Yeah.
It's not engaging.
No.
And at the end of the day, if that kid doesn't like the other kids, maybe we've got a bit more social peer pressure to take that kid to go and engage with the kids. So he's got to turn up to his friend's birthday party. But your dog, you don't have that peer pressure. He doesn't have to be in the fucking dog park.
No, I know, but I think people socially feel that peer pressure.
No. Yeah. But I'm saying right now, you do not have to.
No. And I think that's when I tell people, they're like, I take my dog, to the park twice a day or once a day. And I'm like, you actually don't have to take them.
Mm-hmm. There are many other places.
Yeah. Or maybe it's better for them to not be walked, so much. If
the dog is mental.
Yeah.
Like if the dog is a player like that, I ask them, look, if you're going to play with your dog, if you're going to play with your dog, play with communication.
Yeah.
Sit, stay. But do it but if your dog even then gets fixated, you need to look at one, whether it's worthwhile doing. Are you really playing with the dog, or is the dog just fixated? But two, do it in an environment like your garden or your home where it's not going to learn this hyper arousal and antisocial frame of mind in a public setting where you'd expect it and complain if it wasn't being social.
And then the other thing is when you come home and you're like, why are you still wired? Why are you still crazy? Maybe we need to go for an hour and a half next time.
Yeah, they start adding fuel to that fire. Like,
Yeah.
they think that running it and triggering that side of the brain is going to tire them out. It will make them crash and burn, but then you need to do the same thing tomorrow, the next day, twice, probably a bit harder. So you keep adding and adding and adding. And, we've said this before about that is not a way to tire a dog out. Like, that is a way to exhaust a dog. But a tired dog's the same as a tired human.
Yeah.
Antisocial, intolerant,
Grumpy.
blah, blah, blah. I've said it many times.
Yeah.
You end up creating a dog that is running on adrenaline and cortisol every day. And then it doesn't just want to play, it needs to play, it needs its fix. And you create an addict. And it's like, the amount of times now I've sat there in a consultation, I had one a few weeks ago in Surrey Hills, and this French bulldog was, it'll pick up the ball, it would roll the ball, pick up the ball, roll the ball, and it was a bouncy ball, so it wouldn't just like chase it like a little bit, it was like frantically chasing it, and you're like, if you give that dog the ball one more time, it is like giving an addict one last hit.
Yeah.
It is not playing. It's on Struggle Street, and it is not in a good place. And one of the things that scares me is the way our society is heading with these things, phones, right? They take these things, that thing. It takes the interaction out of the person. We joke, we can joke about it all we want, but the reality is, dating apps, swiping takes the human element of dating out of it. Social media takes away interaction on a human level. I read a study recently about how since smartphones have come around, the average attention span of a human being has gone down from 12 seconds to 8. We now have less of attention span officially than a goldfish, which is 9 seconds.
What?
Yeah. So...
that's really bad.
The saying now should be, got the attention span of a human.
The goldfish would be like, yeah.
Right?
Win for me.
But the knock-on effect of that is if we lose our ability to communicate with humans and we normalize not communicating, or we normalize and put priority on that method of communication with each other, communicating with our dogs becomes even harder as a generation.
Oh, yeah. But you see it all the time in the dog park where people are on their phones and their dogs are running around crazy, doing not great stuff. People aren't reading body language or seeing even where their dog is. Sometimes this dog comes to me, I'm like, where is the owner? Oh, they're over there on their phone.
Yeah. Like, it's just being a dog. Like, they're not trying to be dickheads, I get that. But they inadvertently are.
Yeah.
It's a lack of awareness that is the way dogs communicate and socialize. And just because we're losing our way with that, they're never going to.
Yeah.
They're never going to change that. They're always, as a species, going to be non-verbal communicators, and we owe it to them to learn how to communicate with them. And that strips it back to that conversation. Like me and you sat across the table having a chat and, trying not to be a dickhead to one another.
Please. You know what I think of though? I am actually really grateful that I didn't grow up with smartphones, to be honest, because I had to go to sporting, had to communicate with people in that way. Like, and this generation, they're just growing up on social media and they're not talking to people. Like, how many people do you know? I call everyone all the time. I love chatting on the phone.
Annoying.
I love texting, but I love calling people. Like, everyone will be like, I'm just like, oh, hey, want to chat. Yeah. Kids these days are not doing that.
No. I mean, I don't really know much about what the kids are doing. I don't call kids very often. But I can
a lot of nieces and nephews.
I can see how it's happening. I get a little bit anxious if I have to make a phone call. I can sit,
Yeah.
and so that I can. It's so easy. This thing makes it so easy to sit in my comfort zone. I get it. I understand how and why it works. I just don't think it's healthy to be. I think it's a very valuable tool, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's healthy to be relied upon. I think there's very dangerous path to go down when it comes to how it's affecting our dogs, because
Oh, definitely.
look at the advertising of pet products towards people these days. So many of them are geared up to take the emphasis off of you having to interact with your dog, which is fucked.
That is so true. And you know what I saw the other day? And my heart stopped. Like, I just went, what is this toy? You're gonna hate this.
Yeah, well.
I hated it. I nearly tagged doing it, but I knew you'd
You know,
be so
it's gonna get
angry
shitty.
about it. So it was this ball, right? And it has all these lights on it, and it bounces itself.
Oh fuck! I've signed.
So it's like this ball, lights flashing everywhere, and it's like this. And there's all these dogs, and my skin was crawling. I was like, this is the worst toy I've ever seen. Like, by far, the worst. Moving itself.
That's just me right now. Just so you know, I'm just fucking sick of that shit. Like
It's
back on
so
you.
bad. And then the tug one, where you stick the tug in the ground,
Yeah,
and the dog pulls on the tug.
yeah. Like that. Even the ball chucker, put the ball in. The dog puts the ball in, and it chucks it itself. Like honestly, like you are creating a fucking idiot of a dog that can never communicate, and it's driven by the companies that are trying to sell you that shit to make you feel guilty for not entertaining your dog. You're still not.
Yeah.
Stop it. It's like was it like the parent that just doesn't get engaged with their kids, just buys them gifts. It's like, nah, your kid will learn that you never ever interacted with it.
Yeah.
And there's a consequence. Like the kid will resent the parent, but as a consequence, the dog learns that never learns how to communicate. It is a massive lack in its life, and interaction is with others and connection with another living thing is, for me, it's a personal thing, but it's for me is the most valuable, loving, like that connection with another thing is the most important thing in life. Like full stop. Like beyond anything else, beyond money, beyond absolutely anything else.
Yeah.
Connection is everything. And what those toys are doing are actively removing that from dogs who can't even say, I miss it, verbally. You know, they become compulsive and they become reflexive and they just live in this horrible fucking frame of mind. And it just makes me sad.
I'm actually feeling really sad right now because you're right. And in puppy school, the first thing we say is we want to build a relationship with your dog. We
Yep.
want them to understand you and we want you to understand them and to be able to communicate. And you see from lesson 1 to lesson 5 how much communication there is between the dog and the owner. And the last lesson we do recall. And when they come back to them, I'm like, there you go. You could never do that on week 1 because you didn't have that bond. You didn't have that interaction. And it's just simple little things like playing with the tug, the game. We'll explain that in a sec. And then also like even sit, stay, feeding time, just interacting with them over those
Being
5
able to
weeks.
communicate.
Yeah.
Being able to communicate what you would like and understanding what they're saying and being able to hear it when they communicate.
Yeah.
That's everything. Actually,
People don't think that's important, but it's always. Sorry, yeah.
until you highlight it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what this whole episode's about, is about actually just making sure that, we're highlighting this, because for us as individuals that work with dogs and people, connection's everything.
Yeah.
And communication's everything. One of the things that I think we might end on this note, it won't be a quick note, but we'll end on it. Is this old myth that tug of war is bad.
Oh, how many times do you hear I go, okay, so we're going to play a tug game. They're like, oh no, if it wins, then it's dominant. I'm like,
Fucking hell.
I'm out. Bye.
Mic drop. Great. Camera's on you. I love these moments. So if it doesn't know when the camera's on her and when it's not. and it's really fun for me.
I'm glad people can see how weird I am now. Because during the other podcast, I was just like doing all these actions, but you can't see.
Yeah, this is why this second half of the series is going to be fun. It's been on you the whole time.
Go change it.
Tug of war is a means of building a communication pattern with your dog. It's not about winning and losing, but you can absolutely create whatever communication patterns you set out for. And by that I mean if you only ever encourage your dog to pull harder, and never train it how to release, you'll create an idiot.
Yeah.
Every time you engage with it, every time a hand's going in space, every time the toy goes in space, every time it pulls at clothes, you're teaching it, when I engage with you in this way, pull really hard. And because it's going to enjoy it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It will create an idiot. You can just create a monster of a dog that you can't. Nobody's ever told a dog off for not pulling the toy.
Yeah.
It's always, or pulling on their clothes.
Yeah.
So when you are playing that game, play. And the toy is a reward. But it goes back down to what is that? We were just saying, like, what's the most rewarding thing? Interaction. So I had a client at the weekend again. It was sat down chewing its antler, and they had a rope toy next to it. And when I said to her, like, okay, we're going to talk. I talked her through play and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what we're going to do is going to teach you how to play with the dog and how the interaction with the toy is more rewarding than the toy itself. Mm-hmm. So my interaction with the game is the reward. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, that rope toy sat there. It's just sat there. She's not engaging
It's nothing.
it.
Yeah.
I go over to it. I put my hand on it. Bump. Dog's like, hello, how you doing? All of a sudden, the dog is interested in the rope toy. That proves to me that me interacting with that rope toy is more valuable to the dog than the rope toy. And at which point I can use my movement and my interaction to ask for something from the dog and reward the dog.
Yeah.
So if I want her to chase, I'll bring her in and I'm like, come on, get it. And I'll try and lure her onto it and make her chase it. And this is going to stimulate the dog, and this is me engaging with the game, and it's our reward. And this is before the dog's got it in her mouth. She's trying to get it. And I bring it up to a stop just above the height of the dog's nose and ask her to sit. I give her clarity, known behavior, sit, boom. Dog sits down. Or as soon as it, or if it doesn't, I wait.
Yeah.
And I wait for that dog's adrenaline to come down to go, what the fuck did he say? Oh, he said sit. I know that. I can do that. Once it's heard me, processed the information and completed the behavior, I'll engage in the game again. Good girl, well done. And we just go again. We get the dog. And the dog learns, if we repeat this, that me listening, me doing the action that he asked for, means that he's going to play with me faster.
Yeah.
It is a gauge, like I say. Like when I say sit, I am saying, can you hear me? Can you process? Can you complete? Because if I continue and you can't, I'm rewarding an overstimulated brain.
Yeah.
I'm also encouraging calm behavior and bringing it back down into a social frame of mind. That's before she's even got it in her mouth. That's just a general chase game. Come and get it. When the dog gets it in its mouth, it goes up another gear, and because it's more achievable, the dog is more. It's obvious for me, but it believes it's probably going to win, so it becomes more achievable. So it's going to be less inclined to stop, and that's where I'll pull, and I'll ask for a release. If the dog goes, I can't. I'm just too overstimulated. I think I'm going to win this one. I'll pull out a treat. Stop the hand moving, pull out a treat, drop, and wait. Dog might start carrying on, but essentially what I'm asking, I'm not going to engage in the game again. Release, or stop, or drop it, whatever word you want to use. And once the dog softens its mouth and lets go of the toy, I'll ask it to sit. I'll ask it to do another behavior. Sit. Good. Reward.
One thing I was just going to quickly say is don't move your hand back when, I was just going to say, because a lot of people will be like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, you can't move your hand. Just keep it still. Trust the process. Keep it still. Have the treat. It's going to let go eventually, but you need patience.
Well, the reason behind what I try to explain to people behind that is the key to removing anything from the dog is not removing it from the dog. It's training the dog to remove itself when asked.
Yeah.
So if I go, leave it, and pull it away, the dog hasn't fucking learned to leave it.
No, it's going to get it
faster. Because as soon as it's there again, it's like, you don't want to snatch.
It's habit.
It is.
People,
We go, don't.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on your body language of this person, though, because I don't. Like, but difference in, I'm going to use stereotype men and women, but it's not all the same. But myself, as a man, I don't get rid of them. And some people, that's their natural body language, whereas some people don't. They'll pull it back. So we've got to, when we're teaching people how to play, we've got to make sure that we're in tune with what their natural communication pattern is and work with them on it.
Yeah.
But if you go, don't, and pull it away, you create a race, a trigger, a movement stimulant to go and get it and more inclined to chase it. Whereas if you go, don't, and leave it there, and the dog goes, why won't this guy engage? Why won't this toy move if I stimulate it? It's like, because you're not doing as I asked. It will when you settle. When it finally settles, good, reward. It's timing of reward and removal of reward. It's negative reinforcement. But think about that.
Negative.
But it's a really cool way then. Like I kind of explain to people that training dogs through food is quite robotic. It slows it down and it gives you an opportunity to just make it nice and simple and, sit, good, treat, stay, good. And everything's quite standard.
Yeah.
Play is very fluid, very movement orientated, and basically the faster things move, the higher the arousal level goes up. So you're asking, through training through play, you're essentially trying to create communication patterns under high arousal. So it's a very good bridge between building a dog's communication pattern in quiet places to busy places. It's a great tool to use.
Yeah.
And it's the same with fetch. If I sit, stay, throw the ball, and before I give a release, I might go, can you lay down, please, mate? And once he lays down, thanks, go, off you go. I might ask the dog to come to me and then reward him. I'll avoid doing what the dog would do reflexively and ask it to think. And I get a dog that is completely in tune with me, finds listening rewarding, and it's a beautiful relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I love that moment.
So my sister with Kevin, the GSP, I was with her for the week and I taught her the tug game with him. And at first he was an idiot and he was just like, ah. So I was like, okay, we're going to go through it slowly. Because I think, especially with the big dog, it's a lot harder to play tug because they're a bit, legs everywhere and trying to jump up and everything like that. So it takes a little bit of time for them to understand what you want them to do. And the other day she sent me a video of her playing tug with him. And I was so happy. Like, he was really enjoying it. And she was enjoying it as well. And I was like, you're making him think as well. You're mentally tiring him out too. And you're getting his arousal level high, and then you're bringing him back down again. Getting it high, bringing it back down again. And then he's buggered.
Yeah.
After it.
And
10 minutes.
And this sounds so simple, and it's the same with like fetch and tug, right? If in this method, like don't tug, like don't put the dog's toy in its mouth and like rev him right up and then expect him to calm down quickly.
Yeah.
If you are playing fetch, don't launch the ball super fast past their ears, like really far, and expect them to be able to ignore it. Slow it down at first. So
Build it up.
Yeah, like start with a sit, stay, gently roll the toy, or just place the toy and move back from it. Okay, go. Like build up that ability to show restraint.
Yeah.
First, and where the dog can actually achieve it. So, we were talking at the weekend. No, sorry, on Thursday last week, we were talking about the dog that couldn't. We tried to implement tug.
Oh, yeah.
And the dog was basically an epic fail because we'd set it up to fail. We were playing tug and trying to teach it a release with a toy that it had got a previous learned association of hyper arousal with. So we didn't consider that in the first consult. So even though we were just placing it in the dog's mouth and then asking it to release without actually moving it, the dog's like, no, this is my play toy that I'm going to go fucking crazy with. So I said, well, let's change the toy. Let's go and get a new one that's got a clean slate and no prior learned association. Place it in the dog's mouth and train it to release really early so that it give it a chance to learn that communication pattern. If the dog can't do it, it means we've set it up to fail. Yeah. It's not the dog being a mole.
Technical term.
Is there anything else that we needed to cover today on play? I can't really remember.
I think that was it. I think Yeah.
I mean, I'm
stuff.
sure
I'm sure
we'd
talk about this
we'd
again.
love your feedback on this, of course. So
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure that this is quite an engaging topic. That's why we talk about it.
Yeah, and it's not a finger pointing either. Like, I
No,
want
it
people to
never
know
is.
that too. Yeah, but I just want people to know that, if you're doing these things, you can change it now
Yeah,
and listen to this and listen to why you should change it.
yeah,
That's all. We're just educating. I feel like sometimes people think we're pointing fingers, being like, "You're a bad dog owner."
Yeah.
No, this is what we're doing this for, to educate.
I had a really good analogy the other day about is it too late to change, and it was nothing to do with dogs. It was talking about actually talking about entitled children as adults. Yeah, I know.
Where were you reading?
Gary V.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Gary
So,
V.
right.
I love him. He's a funny guy.
But he had a really good analogy. He's like, and it would be the same when it comes to like a dog that has been playing a certain way for 10 years or whatever. If you start making the change now, don't expect him to be really good at it in 6 months. It's like expect him to, just like if I started eating really healthily and started working out, in 6 months' time, I'm not going to be a fitness model. Like I'm not. Those guys have got a head start. They started earlier.
Yeah.
They've done it all their life. They're good at it. Like I will be in better shape than I am now if I start today.
Yeah.
It's not too late to learn, is what I'm getting at. Like,
No.
Yeah, it's just because you've been doing something all your life doesn't mean that it's too late to change.
I always say, like, smoking. People that smoke, you can stop. Yeah, you might go backwards, but if you start now, you've got a better chance of giving up.
Yeah. Yeah, we get caught up with our own perception of our own limitations, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. Just wanted to say as well that every interaction that you have with your dog is an opportunity for learning.
It is.
That's what I always like to say. It's my new little saying.
Oh, you love a saying?
Yeah. I like it though, because
That's
that's
true.
what it is. Every interaction you have.
Dom said it to me years ago. In fact, I don't think she actually said it to me directly. I just caught her saying it in passing. Dom from the Dog Brigade, it was on last week, week before. She was saying that when you're in your dog's presence, they're learning from you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Whether you mean to
100%.
be training your dog or not is
Yeah.
kind of irrelevant if you're in their presence. I think I read a long time ago, and I don't actually know how accurate this stat is, but even if it's not going to be a million miles off, and it's going to be quite relatively accurate, is your dog looks at you on average every 4 seconds.
Really?
Yeah. Like when it's in your presence, it looks at you every 4 seconds. It learns constantly. Like,
What are you doing?
Well, it's constantly monitoring change in its environment. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, learn how to communicate with your dogs through play is the aim of this podcast. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
And remember, folks, a healthy dog's a happy dog.
Woo.
And that was the pod.